Ritesh, we have been meeting frequently and sometimes not so frequently over the last decade. When you started, and I was just a reporter in Times of India. Now, it's amazing and it's surprising and it's incredible how you have grown, the leaps and bounds of your incredible courage in the face of the pandemic, and then coming out of that, and now again changing OYO into something else. So tell us about how you could make a fledgling Orville travel organization to this global, huge enterprise that you've already created so fast. How was it possible for you?
So first of all, thank you so much for having me here. I think it's an incredible honor, and for me, I feel like it's more, it feels more home, because the spirit of entrepreneurship and startups in the air. I met so many other startups. Of course, I think the hunger of Arnav and the way he aspires for creating an enterprise is incredible. On a lighter note, I was telling Sharmila earlier that we should convince her to speak a little bit in Hindi in today's session. There are only two people I've asked to do this between you and me. The previous one was, there was an interview I had with Ronnie Screwwala, and I requested him ki you have to speak in Hindi for some part, and you're the second. But that's on a lighter note. But look, I think over the last 10 years, like you mentioned, we've spoken for so many times over this period. I think there are three unique things that I believe has helped me create this impact. The first is, I'm lucky that I was born in this generation in India. Because if you see, I was born in the year 1993, November. That is the time, if you think, right before that was some troublesome events that happened in India. But if you look after that, probably there have been very rare national disruptions that have stopped business or activity or commercial processes. People's ambitions and aspirations have grown higher than ever before. So today, if you are a 19-year-old or 25-year-old and you have a dream to start a company and no money in your pocket, or your parents have no money, it's okay. That was not okay until then, is what I have read. I was not around, so I don't know. But I have heard that. So I think 50% of this is, I'm just lucky that I was born at the right place at the right time. I thought, abhi mauka mil gaya hai, तो अभी छोड़ेंगे नहीं, अभी मतलब डट के लगे रहेंगे, and I will take all advantage of it, because if I was born in some country which was having riots or the country's economy was broken, I would never get this opportunity. But now I have gotten it. I am truly thankful for it. I want to make the most out of it. The second, I think, is also this pursuit of naivety is bliss, is what I have learned. If I knew how hard it was before I started, maybe I would not have done it. But when I started, I read on the news, it is so easy. Everybody is building big companies. So I thought I can also do it. So I got into it. A year later, I figured that this is nowhere as easy, because you have to figure out a way to pay your next day's cost for your own self and for your teams. Naturally, you keep your teams first as much as you can. And you have to take care of your customers. So effectively, when you start a company, this myth that nobody is your boss is a wrong one. Everybody is your boss that you become an entrepreneur. Your customer is your boss, your partner, everybody, right? So I think 1 year later, once I learned how hard it was, I have this thing of and I lost my father last year. I was talking to Arnav also earlier about it. I think my dad always said that he used to work for road construction for some time. So first he used to have his shop, but later he took a job at a road construction company. And, I come from a hilly region in Odisha, so there's a lot of hills and tunnels need to be made. So he'd always say that, if you keep digging, there is always light at the end of the tunnel. And I think it's a saying also. So for me, I felt that ab to andar aa gaye, andhera hai, to if I keep digging, there will be light at the end of the tunnel. So I was very perseverant. I didn't give up. No matter what, I would not give up. And one person you can't write off is me. I'm like that person that you write off, the next morning I will show up again, and I will show up until I make a difference. And the last but not the least is, I'm lucky that I found great colleagues, partners who supported me through this period of time. I think sometimes they had more belief in me than myself. So I think a combination of India being in this exciting time, going from number 11 economy to number 5 economy to now hopefully number 3 very soon. My ability to sort of learn from our value systems of saying, छोड़ेंगे नहीं, अगर मतलब लग गए हैं तो मतलब जब तक we don't see the outcome, we don't see it through. And just lucky to have good people around me. Those three things I would say.
एक सोच है रितेश कि बाहर के लोग इंडिया में आके तो बहुत कुछ कर लेते हैं, लेकिन इंडिया के लोग, जैसे अर्णव भी कुछ देर पहले बोल रहा था कि हम ग्लोबल मीडिया नेटवर्क बनने वाले हैं, तो इंडिया से बाहर जाके करना मुमकिन है और ये आप कर रहे हैं, ये मुश्किल है क्या? आप अगर इंडिया के यूथ के लिए कुछ बोलें अभी।
नहीं, मेरे लिए आई थिंक आई वुड से कि अगर आप इंडिया में यूथ हैं, एंटरप्रेन्योर हैं, बिजनेस ओनर हैं, अगर मैं आपको एक चीज़ कहना चाहूँगा वो ये है कि इंडिया इज़ करंटली 3.5 ट्रिलियन और सो इकॉनमी। जब हम टॉप 3 बनेंगे हम लोग 6.5 ट्रिलियन के आसपास मुझे लगता है इकॉनमी बनेंगे। तो जस्ट फॉर कॉन्टेक्स्ट, जितनी बड़ी आज हमारी पूरी अर्थव्यवस्था, पूरा इकोनॉमी है इंडिया का, वी विल क्रिएट एन इकोनॉमी ऑफ दैट साइज इन अ फ्यू ईयर्स फ्रॉम नाउ, राइट? That won't happen only by domestic consumption. Of course, domestic consumption will be a big part of it. But I think exports will play a huge role in that. When people think about exports, people only think about IT services or they think about some manufacturing. But I think that is only going to be tip of the iceberg. The real opportunities will be in media, it will be in travel, it will be in softwares, finished softwares, not just the service of softwares. And I will share 2 or 3 parts from my own experience. Exactly 5 years back, our company received $0 of revenue from overseas business. We were primarily an India domestic operation. Today, our company does over 13,000 crores of bookings, with half of it coming from outside of India. Right? Yeah. I don't give credit to ourselves or our company. I think I just feel like if I knew it earlier that there are so many customers around the world waiting for Indian technologies, Indian talent and Indian organizations to support them, I'd have probably tried that earlier. And I'll give some examples. We do, most part of this 50% comes from Europe and US. So if you look at Europe and US, and I go and meet people there, you will see that the number of people who are waiting for Indian companies to come and provide products is unparalleled, right? Like I met one of our clients, I was recently last week in Austria meeting some of our clients at the Tyrol region. And they said, you know, we have found the Indian technologies to be so good that it works very well for our holiday villa that we use your software. But do you think there is any software we can use for the ski lifts that are there? Because that software is also looking very outdated. And I said, you know what? I'm come on the Indian version of Shark Tank, and next time I'm going to tell an entrepreneur that you should build a software for the ski lifts in Austria, because people are waiting for Indian software. And this is just an example of the hundreds and thousands of businesses that can be created. Second, हम लोग थोड़ा डरते हैं. We are always थोड़ा worried about saying that, can we go and pursue a big opportunity? Is our technology good enough? Is our product good enough? Are people waiting for us or not? I think Indians are considered one of the most lovable and I would say to some extent adjustable people in every country around the world. Right? People love Indians. Right? I was telling you recently, I've been traveling to some of our destinations. People do curry nights every week. So our food is a great export there. People say that we grew up with some neighbor or the other being an Indian. So I know your value systems. You're very good people. You never do wrong for other people. You always care about doing the right thing for other people. So naturally, people like to trust our people from our nation. So when you go and speak to other people as an Indian business person, you will find a lot of acceptance is the second thing. And the last, and I think probably the most important, is we take for granted the quality of technology access we have here in India. I think UPI, we think that ये तो कितना आसान चीज़ है. Everywhere else in the world, the day our company sends a transaction, we spend €1 for sending money. Euro is like 100 rupees plus, right? Imagine spending 100 rupees for every transaction we did in India. It's unbelievable to us, right? Similarly, we all use mobile phone for all our technologies. 70% of the services which I saw in some of the regions we do business with are only available on website. 70% of the services don't have an app only today in some of the other geographies we do business in. Right? And हमारे यहाँ पे 19 साल का बच्चा कॉलेज से निकलते समय 6 ऐप बना चुका होता है. They would have built 6 apps. So I think a combination of, like I mentioned, people's love, like global love for Indians, India's economy's rise, and the quality of our technologies. I'd probably end with one thing that, and Arnav alluded to it earlier, I actually believe that India is today probably the most powerful passport in the world. I'll give you an example. I understand that the rankings may not show it fully, but we are rising. But I'll explain why. I was speaking to a friend of mine who runs a shipping business, right? Runs a Greek shipping business. Greece में बड़े shipping businesses होते हैं. So he told me that mostly we try to employ only Indians on our ship because they say that large part of the global trade travels in countries near Israel or Iran, right? Either of the countries, if your ship gets caught, if you have an Indian passport, both countries love you. There is no other country in the world whose passport you can carry and feel comfortable going to either of these two countries. It's such a big thing. We underappreciate it, and credit to our foreign minister for the great work he has done. I think there's no other country in the world where you can take that passport and feel comfortable going to either of these places. So this is leading to Indian employment in global shipping companies rising. It's a small thing. We don't think about it. So the amount of work that happens with India as a country rising has a knock-on effect in all of our entrepreneurs' lives, and to that extent, I'm very happy that there are more entrepreneurs going global, and I hope that in 10 years from now, when you see a Facebook, Microsoft, Google as the world's largest companies, you will see Indian companies in the same league, hopefully, who will start from India, but for the world.
So India, over the last 10 years, has changed phenomenally. And the way Indians like to live, the aspiration quotient of Indians, it's rising by the day. And as someone who has been, dealing with rooms all over India, what sort of change or transformation have you witnessed in people's taste when it comes to occupancy?
This is a great question, and one that I feel I have a view that some may agree or some don't agree. So it's one of those. Generally, what I share, people would. So I think that it's more, easy to appreciate. It is that I believe India is truly and firmly in the path of being a developed nation in the next decade. And I am seeing this in consumer patterns like never before. And I'll explain some of these specific examples. So I started my business roughly 10 years ago. So we are celebrating 10 years of our enterprise. As I see our customer interest, when I started the company, customers used to say, Saaf Sutra Majboot. Like, if I can get a good place at 1500 rupees or so, it's fine. Because I want to save, and I want to save and keep it in either physical gold or some kind of stuff at my house. Now, from then on to now, I have seen a complete swap in it. People don't want to buy goods like clothes or the gold or various other things. People want to spend on experiences, right? It's a part of an economy becoming more and more developed where people believe that the time matters and they want to use the time for the best thing. And appreciation of travel is a big part of it. Second thing that I'm seeing is that, but on the other hand, so I'll give you an example, I was telling this earlier to you, is that if you look at the clothing business, people are increasingly buying Zudio, which is in the entry to mid-level segment. But if you see restaurants, if you see cafes, if you see events, if you see travel, people are willing to spend more. So that is why we have sort of not just kept our flagship OYO, because we still see that there's a lot of demand for the economy segment and growing rapidly as people are becoming upward mobile. But our customers are also saying that, can we upgrade to OYO serviced hotels? Then OYO service hotels customers are saying, can we go to a townhouse? Townhouse customers saying, I want luxury, can I go to a Sunday hotel? So we are listening to our customers and saying that you want to upgrade? We are going to upgrade far ahead of that, so that whenever you want to try and upgrade, we have places available for you. The second thing that I'm seeing is the public markets. Public markets पूछ लीजिए, stocks सोच लें आप, SIPs से सोच लें. Last few years, actually there is more money that has left India in some of the places like that because largely due to overseas problems only. But India's stock markets have continued to rise, largely because of the massive domestic capital. Because now people are comfortable saying that I want to grow with Indian companies' success. And I don't want to just keep it in gold because I trust that I will get better return. And I'm confident that India will become a bigger economy in times to come. And this is not a decision that I or you are only talking about. I speak to people from taxi driver, my hotel receptionists, they're all investing money in SIPs, stock markets, and so on and so forth. Imagine the trust they have on the Indian economy as an outcome.
Exactly.
And last but not the least, is that I also believe that to significant extent, COVID has made people feel like you live life once.
Yes.
Right? So people want to live a good life and make the most out of it, which of course is like selfishly very good for my company because people are traveling more. And the learning I've had is we Indians are becoming a developed nation, but our value system is becoming more and more closer to our ideals. I'll give an example. I was recently in Mathura, Vrindavan. Naturally, I visited a few of our hotels. So this is a hotel that we've had for 7 years. 7 years it's been in OYO, does very well. So I was speaking to the receptionist. Fascinating person, the receptionist also. Some other day I'll share his story. So I asked him, occupancy कैसी है? He says, पहले भी 70-80% रहता था, अभी तो जी 98% है, हमेशा sold out रहता है. So I say, good. Then he says me, कुछ बदलाव दिख रहा है पिछली बार, because last time he remembers me that I saw him 5-6 years ago. He said, आप पिछली बार जब आए थे, तब एवरेज एज जो है वो 50 प्लस होता था. अच्छा. अभी जो एवरेज एज है वो लेट 20s, अर्ली 30s से मिड 30s में आ गया है. अच्छा. Which means younger people are becoming ambitious. They want to take over the world, but they still want to go back to their places of faith. Now it can be a temple, mosque, whatever their faith is, but people are close to their faith, which is a unique thing that I'm seeing in India, which I haven't seen when countries like I'm seeing other countries also become go from developing to becoming developed as I'm seeing in many other nations. But I think India is this unique place जहाँ पे हम सोचते हैं कि we want to aspire to be as global and ambitious as the world, but our value system still remains close to what I guess our parents gave us, which is a unique thing about India.
Exactly. Ritesh, you're not short of being a hero to the entrepreneurs of India. But, when you started and when people were just beginning to start up a decade ago, starting up was more like a privilege for the urban kid who could get access to a co-working facility or an incubation center. But do you think that things are also shifting for tier 2 and tier 3 cities?
Yeah, I think this is one of those places where the shift has already happened. उसका acceptance और उसका award मिलना बाकी है. And I think I'm saying this when I've received an award, so thank you for that. But I truly believe that a person sitting in a small town or a small village today, I think has dreams. Like I'll give you an example. I was speaking to one of our customer service agents, right? We have a large customer service department. We speak to customers when they seek help. So sometimes I'd go speak to our teams. Young kid, 21-year-old, came from Hisar in Haryana, works with us in Gurgaon. I ask him, "Aage kya karoge?" He looks at me and he's not making a joke. He's very serious. Looks at me and says, and some of our colleagues call me Ritesh bhai out of just affection. He says, "Ritesh bhai, जो कंपनी आपने बनाई ना, उससे थोड़ी बड़ी कंपनी बनानी है." Right? This is a 21-year-old kid who's working at a customer service department. Because he knows I started my life doing housekeeping myself and then picking up calls myself. So he looks at me and says, इसे देख के तो लगता है कि मैं तो इससे बेहतर ही कर लूँगा. Right? But I think on a more serious note, I think the ambitions of a young kid sitting in a small town India, because of the power of technology, and credit to, of course, Reliance Jio, Airtel and various others. I think वो इंटरनेट में बैठ के पढ़ रहा है और आज उसका नॉलेज और न्यूयॉर्क के बच्चे और बर्लिन के बच्चे या साओ पाउलो के बच्चों में कोई डिफरेंस नहीं है. So the kid in Raigada and Gaya has the same ambitions as a New York kid. Now the only difference about who will be more successful is who wants it more. Right. And I believe that a kid coming from Raigada or Gaya, not everyone, there'll be, I'm sure there's some kids other places also ambitious, but I think on an average, like they want it more. They want, like they really want to change. Like for me, I remember when my mom used to say कि अगर तुम्हें IT सर्विस में जॉब मिल गई, उसमें वो टाइटल होता है, मेरे को टाइटल भी पता है क्योंकि हमारे रिलेटिव में किसी को मिला तो घर में बड़ी बात हुई कि इनको नौकरी मिले. तो असिस्टेंट सिस्टम इंजीनियर आपको 2.5 लाख का तनख्वाह मिलता है एनुअल, 2.5 लाख इज एनुअल CTC. तो हमारी पूरी फैमिली में बात हो कि अगर ये जॉब मिल गया तुम्हें, देन वी विल बी आउट ऑफ द एंटायर प्रॉब्लम्स दैट वी ऑल हैव, आवर लाइफ विल बी सेट. लाइक हमारे पूरे गाँव में लड्डू बटता इफ आई हैड गॉटन द असिस्टेंट ASC जॉब, राइट. And my eldest sister got it, and laddu bate bhi the, right, because of that. So I think, and that's, I'm not unique now. The average ही होता, कई लोगों के पास तो वो भी opportunity नहीं होती सोचने के लिए, हमारे पास तो कम से कम वो opportunity थी सोचने के लिए. So I think that the hunger is so high that they only needed direction and resources. Content such as RBETA coupled with them seeing success happen, I think you will be surprised in 5 to 10 years the number of companies you will see listed at NSE and BSE that would be started by people growing not in tier 2, tier 3, 4, 5 towns and villages. मैं already देख रहा हूँ because I speak to those entrepreneurs and it's happening as I speak. Sorry, one last example. Last year I was on the Shark Tank season. So I met this entrepreneur who comes from Saharsa in Bihar.
Okay.
His company's name is Roadways, right? Because in Bihar, when people speak, instead of calling roadways, Bihar roadways, they pronounce it as roadways. His father was a chaprasi, who then became a driver of Bihar roadways. He was a chaprasi, but he became a chaprasi to a company in Patna, which had 10 engineers. He self-learned coding from there. Now runs a business which is multi-million dollar in terms of revenues. But now he's gone back to Saharsa and he's training kids in Saharsa to write code. Right? It's incredible, the stories of India. So I asked him कि आपका तो कम रेवेन्यू है, बड़े राइड हेलिंग कंपनीज की रेवेन्यू बहुत ज़्यादा है आपसे, आप कैसे उनकी जैसी टेक्नोलॉजी बनाते हैं? So he gave me a very interesting example. He said मैपिंग के अंदर में गूगल मैप्स में बहुत खर्चा लगता है, तो मैंने गूगल मैप से ये पता कर लिया कि कौन सी 80% सर्चेस होती हैं कौन से लोकेशंस के बीच में, और मैंने उसकी मैपिंग खुद से बना लिया. तो 80% ऑफ द मैप ट्रिगर में मुझे गूगल को पैसे नहीं देने पड़ते, सिर्फ 20% में देने पड़ते हैं. तो उसलिए जुगाड़ बट जुगाड़ इन अ कॉम्पिटेंट वे, राइट, कि मैं उसी लिए सेम टेक्नोलॉजी जो बड़ी कंपनीज बनाते हैं उसे 1/50 या 1/40 द कॉस्ट में डिलीवर कर पा रहा हूँ, which is incredible that these people have that ambition. तो मुझे लगता है कि you should just wait and watch the number of kids from Saharsa, Gaya, Raigada, Kukatpally, all the little towns people are going to come. It will be incredible.
And congratulations to you for turning profitable.
Thank you.
It's a dream for most entrepreneurs because, that's the litmus test of an enterprise. And ladies and gentlemen, previously we used to talk about the American dream. And today we have amongst us someone who has made possible what we should call the Indian dream. So a huge round of applause for Ritesh Agarwal. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you so much, everyone, for having me here.